Hi, my name is Lemon Messenger, and today we're going to be talking about coloring. Whether you color a lot, whether you never color, if you find yourself in a situation where you are coloring, try and think of these tips and tricks and steps to really kind of elevate your piece. So, the first thing that I really want to get into today is choosing your colors for your piece. So, there's a few different themes you can think of or choose, and the first example I have is complementary. Complementary colors are really great for making each other pop out. So, as you can see here, we have this color wheel, and complementary colors are any color that's going to be across from each other on the color wheel. So, as you can see, we have blue and orange, purple and yellow, and red and green. And these colors work really, really well to make sure that they pop out together. As you can see, that blue and that orange really, really stands out. Another example of a color theme is analogous. Now, analogous is going to be colors together and right next to each other on a color wheel. For example, red, orange, yellow. These colors work really, really well and kind of give that ombre effect that is kind of really nice and pleasant to look at. As you can see, we have an example of analogous right over here, and it really kind of makes sure that all of these colors blend together in harmony. So, aside from, looking at the colors and choosing what colors we want to get into shading. Now, shading is also extremely crucial when you're going to be coloring because shading ensures that your piece will not be 2D. It won't be as flat as it normally would. So, right here is a great example of shading. What I did is I picked 3 different colors, and these all go into making sure there is a great shadow. So, when using colors, you never really want to use black or anything like that, maybe unless you're using gray. So, what we're going to do is I'm picking a color, and I'm picking pink, and I'm going to make sure my shade for pink is going to be a dark purple pink. So, our first step with shading is we want to make sure we put down that nice lightest base layer. Now, our second step is going to include putting down our second darkest color. Well, in this case, it's our second darkest color because we only have 3 colors. Because I'm making sure we can blend all of these 3 colors together to make this. So we're going to put down our second darkest color and make sure it kind of goes up a little bit and blends well into that lightest shade, and it slowly gets lighter. Now, for our third step, we're going to be taking our darkest color and we're going to be really caking it on at the bottom and making sure we blend it into that second darkest color. You want to make sure you leave some of that second darkest color showing so you can show that there is that transition. Your third step is going to be putting on the lightest color. You're going to start at the bottom at where the darkest color is and make sure you really, really blend and shade it in there so you can create a nice smooth transition where it doesn't feel as blocky. And this way it's going to really, really create a smooth shading finish. And this way it looks more natural, and when you're using your lightest color at the bottom, starting first, it really makes sure it can blend its way up a lot better instead of blending down. And there you have probably one of the best ways that you can shade, because again, remember, shading and layering is crucial. Now, thinking of these things are extremely important when you go to shade. You want to make sure you can plan out what you're going to do and make sure you can really utilize the best tips to make sure that your piece really pops out and works together well. Are there any questions from the audience?
Why can't you shade with black when using color?
Shading with black using color it's just going to look unnatural. In real life, you don't really, for example, you see this blue jacket. The darkest shade in here is probably going to be a very dark blue. It's not going to be a black. So usually when you're shading with these colors, you want to make sure you're actually doing the realistic situation. So if you're doing a blue, you're going to make sure your shade is a dark blue. Maybe an orange, you're going to make sure your shadow is a dark orange or a red. The only reason you're going to ever use black to shade is if you're using gray, because it's just not how it actually looks in real life.
What should be the first step when coloring in the very beginning?
The first step in coloring should probably be considering what colors you want to use. If you consider what colors you want to use to start out, that way you have a plan for how you're going to be coloring. And this way you can really make sure that every color is going to be working together well, and it's not going to look kind of jumbled and messy and things won't work together well. All right, well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening, and I'm so glad you could kind of learn a little bit about the steps and things you should think about when you're coloring. Thank you. Have a great night.